Guys and gals, Froggy here. Let me get you up to speed because I kind of got carried away and forgot to set up this video. So let me set it up for you now. This is a Jandy diverter valve. Comes like that. I'll take it out for you. Yeah, like that. So when it's in, let's see, right now it's in this position right here, the old one inside there. So it's shutting off the water that's going to my solar. I'm going to replace this. My suspicion is that the one in there is leaking, and the reason I have that suspicion is because even with it in the off position, I'm getting some water dribbling up into my solar, which I don't want. It's not supposed to dribble water up there when it's shut off. So anyway, step one is you have to, this is an electrical actuator. You have to take that off of the valve, the diverter valve. So I'm just kind of going along here and kind of learn as you go. So I took off the top there. I took off this screw because you have to take that off. It's not a screw, it's just a little, well, it's kind of like a screw. This has to come off so you can lift up the top. So that off, 4 screws, which are laying right there, Phillips, to lift up the top to get to here. And now I need to lift off this piece, so I unscrewed 4 more screws, and they're different. These are like not pointy screws. The other ones were pointy screws. These are like flat on the end, so they're a little bit different. Anyway, I took 4 of those out, and now I think, see, these here actually go to the valve. Some of these may hold on the valve and the actuator. I'm not really sure yet. I think I can leave the electrical connection on. Everything's shut off, of course, but I think I can leave that on and just lift this thing off. There's going to be a lot of water when this comes off, so there's it's a low point of my pool equipment, so there's really not a whole lot I can do. So let's go a little bit further and see what happens. What I think I have here is 4 really long screws. 1, 2, 3, 4 over there, right there, and then probably two or 3 or 4 more underneath that. And so when I take these 4 off, I may be able to lift this off and it might still not leak, and then when I take the rest it'll probably leak. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these 4 off now. So I was right, there it is. I just lifted that up out of the way, and there are 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where it's going to start to leak. A little black widow spider there. And you got to remember what position this is in. It should, there, right there. See that says inlet? Yeah, it says inlet. I don't know. To me, that's not really the inlet. But anyway, I got to put it back together that way, and I've got to make sure that I've got the diverter valve, this, put back in the same way too. So no big deal. So let's crack these 4 off, and then I'm going to crack them off slow, and it'll start to leak. Clean the dirt off the heads of those screws before you stick your screwdriver in there, otherwise you might strip them. I decided to mark these just so I don't even have to bother to remember. That should be an open. Well, some good news and some bad news. The good news is that it's not leaking a gusher of water, which may be because of the vacuum, as I explained. The bad news is that this diverter valve looks pretty good. Of course, I can't really tell if it's a good seal or not, because something's leaking water up into the solar. So I'm going to replace this and put it all back together. The only thing I don't have to replace is this little O-ring, so I'm going to try and not disturb it at all and see if I get lucky. Okay, I need 2 hands to do this. Okay, so the diverter valve is going to line up with where it says inlet. You remember that, right? And there's 2 little washers, and I've got 2 brand new washers on my new piece, so make sure you take the old ones out, put the new ones in, and make sure it's all clean clean around the edge where my thumb is wiggling, so that that gasket, that little skinny gasket, will go back on there, I hope. Alright, let me get you caught up. I screwed it down one time and I could tell it was leaking without even putting any pressure on there. I could tell it was leaking. So I took it off. I peeled out that O-ring. It's like about a 3.5 inch skinny O-ring. And I put it on to this instead of letting it lay down in the slot that it goes into. Put it onto this. And then I re-pressed this cover on, and that seemed to work better. It doesn't look like it's leaking now. So I tighten these up. Don't over tighten them, you'll split the plastic. I tighten these 4 up. Now I got to put the electric controller on there and put the 4 long ones in there. Okay, here we go. There's a spring in there, and there's some notches that have to line up. Okay. Alright, so I got the 4 long screws in. Now we put that top cover on with the little screws. Hold on a second. Yeah, first we got to use those blunt nose screws, and then the top cover on. Okay, make sure you don't over tighten those, but tighten them, just use your judgment. I really can't give you a torque spec or anything. We're talking about plastic here, steel screws and plastic. Tuck in the wires and then put the top cover on. Again, that really doesn't have to go too tight. Okay, so that's all back on. You see where the guy or the crew that installed all this stuff, they couldn't measure too well, so they had to cut this handle here so it could swing. Yeah, whatever. Also, I want to just show you this little switch on here. So when the electrical signal comes into this diverter valve, this switch can tell it to swing one way or the other way. Just thought I'd show you that. I didn't touch the switch, so it was swinging the right way. So what I'm going to do is turn the power back on, see if I can have the pump off, and just turn this valve with the pump off and see if it moves the way I want it to move. I think it's supposed to swing this way. Yeah, I think it's supposed to swing this way so that pool water circulates. Even though this says inlet valve, I think the water goes out here to the solar and comes back there. This one's always open. This is, you probably couldn't turn it if you wanted to save your life. But I think that's how it works. I think the water goes that way up to solar, comes back here, and that when you want that to happen, you turn this to that way electrically. Okay, let's try it. I think that when I hit that solar switch that it's going to maybe turn the pump on automatically. I'm not sure. Anyway, here we go. Yeah. Alright, the valve is swinging the other way than what I thought, but that actually makes sense, because otherwise why would he have cut that handle? So yeah, the valve swings, pool's running, no major leak there. I think I do see a little leak, but I think it's on that red valve. Anyway, alright, let me turn solar off. Hold on. Turning solar off. It did rub up against that little red valve. I could see it rubbing. But I guess that's a pretty strong little electric motor in there. Anyway, now we'll just have to see with that new diverter seal in there if it prevents the water from going up into solar. So now I'm just going to turn on normal pool function, and I will observe whether I hear the drip 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 in my solar. So give me a thumbs up or a like if this helps you out. Subscribe to my channel if you want more from Froggy, mostly automotive, but I do other stuff as I find it interesting, as I think I might like to share it with you guys and gals. Okay, see ya, bye bye. I did find my other leak, and it's this here, as I kind of expected. You can see it leaking out the top here. This is a totally different valve. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but it's going to be another job, another day, and another video. Okay, you guys and gals have a great weekend. Bye bye.